For Jake Marshall, this was more than just another hike. It was the culmination of years of dreaming, planning, and training. At 32, he was no stranger to solo expeditions. From the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest to the arid canyons of Utah, Jake had tested himself against nature's many faces. This trek across the Ruth Glacier, one of the largest glaciers in the Denali National Park, was supposed to be the ultimate adventure. The trail had been difficult but manageable for the first 2 days. Weather conditions were favorable, the ice beneath his crampons solid. But glaciers, Jake knew, had their secrets. Hidden crevices, deep fractures in the ice, lurked beneath thin snow bridges.
Shit! Okay, don't panic.
But panic was already creeping in.
This is Jake Marshall. Mayday! I've fallen into a crevasse on Ruth Glacier. Coordinates approximately 62.9 degrees N, 150.7 degrees W. Repeat, I need help. Shh.
By the second day, Jake knew he couldn't wait for rescue. If his radio signal couldn't reach the surface, then he had to climb out. He examined the crevasse. The walls were steep, but there were slight ridges, small footholds he could carve into the ice. His fractured leg would slow him, but staying put meant death. He secured his remaining rope around a sturdy ice anchor and began the painstaking process of climbing. Each movement sent agony through his leg, but he pushed through, teeth clenched. Hours blurred as he clawed upward, his ice axe digging into the walls. He used the rope as a belay, ensuring that if he slipped, he wouldn't fall far. But exhaustion hit like a hammer. Midway up, his grip faltered and his ice axe slipped free. He dangled suspended by the rope, heart racing as he swayed in the darkness.
Come on, Jake.
He whispered, forcing himself back onto the wall. With a final push, he reached a narrow ledge and collapsed, breathing hard. The third day was the worst. Jake's body was failing. Dehydration, pain, and cold gnawed at him. His leg was swollen and discolored, and he knew infection was a real threat. His mind drifted to memories. His father teaching him how to camp, his sister Emily, who always called him reckless, and the warmth of his childhood home. Tears welled, freezing on his cheeks, but amid the despair something flickered, a faint sound. A helicopter? Jake scrambled for the flare gun, his hands numb. He fired it upward, the red flame spiraling through the narrow crevasse and into the open sky. Seconds stretched into agonizing minutes, then the radio crackled.
Jake Marshall, this is Denali Search and Rescue. We've spotted your flare. Hold tight, we're coming. Jake, I'm Brian, we're getting you out.
Jake spent weeks recovering in the hospital. His leg required surgery, and there were long nights filled with nightmares of falling, of endless blue ice swallowing him whole. But he survived. And that survival changed him. The wilderness still called to him, but now it came with a deeper respect for nature's beauty, its power, and its indifference. Life, he realized, was as fragile as the thin snow bridges on a glacier one step away from collapse, and yet it was still worth the risk.